Hello, I'm Gina and welcome back to the Gina's channel. 안녕하세요. 일본에서 잘 지내고 있는 지나입니다. 여러분도 잘 지내고 계신가요? 여러분, 저희 구독자가 72명이 되신 것을 벌써 알고 계셨나요? 벌써 알고 계신 분은 정말 제 영상을 많이 찾아주시는 분들이시네요. 구독자가 한 명씩 늘 때마다 저의 행복도 추가됩니다. 그럼 오늘 또 제 영상을 찾아주셔서 감사하고 오늘 읽은 책은 무엇인지 아시죠? 자, 그럼 한번 같이 읽어볼까요? Roald Dahl, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. 오늘은 chapter 19 and chapter 20. Then now let's start reading. Chapter 19, The Inventing Room. Everlasting Gobstoppers and Hair Toffee. When Mr. Wonka shouted, "Stop the boat!" the Oompa Loompas jammed their oars into the river and backed the water furiously. The boat stopped. The Oompa Loompas guided the boat alongside the red door. On the door said, "Inventing Room. Private. Keep out." Mr. Wonka took a key from his pocket, leaned over the side of the boat, and put the key in the keyhole. "This is the most important room in the entire factory," he said. "All my most secret new inventions are cooking and simmering in here." Old Fickle Rubbers would give his front teeth to be allowed inside just for 3 minutes, so Proudnose and the Slugworth and all the other rotten chocolate makers. But now, listen to me. I want no messing about when you go in. No touching, no meddling, and no tasting. Is that agreed? "Yes, yes," the children cried. "We won't touch a thing." Up to now, Mr. Wonka said, nobody else, not even an Oompa Loompa, had ever been allowed in. Here, he opened the door and stepped out of the boat into the room. The 4 children and their parents all scrambled after him. "Don't touch!" shouted Mr. Wonka, "and don't knock anything over." Charlie Bucket stared around the gigantic room in which he now found himself. The place was like a witch's kitchen. All about him, black metal pots were boiling and bubbling on huge stoves, and kettles were hissing and pans were sizzling, and strange iron mechanics were clacking and sputtering, and there were pipes running all over the ceilings and walls, and the whole place was filled with smoke and steam with a delicious rich smells. Mr. Wonka himself had suddenly become even more excited than usual, and anybody could see that this was the room that he loved best of all. He was hopping about among the saucepans and his machines like a child among his Christmas presents, not knowing which thing to look at first. He lifted the lid from a huge pot and took a sniff. Then he rushed over and dipped a finger into a barrel of sticky yellow stuff and had a taste. Then he skipped across to one of the machines and turned half a dozen knobs this way and that. Then he peered anxiously through the glass door of a gigantic oven, rubbing his hands and cackling with delight at what he saw inside. Then he ran over to another machine, a small shiny affair that kept going plot, 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 and every time it went plot, a large green marble dropped out of it and the basket of the floor. At least it looked like a marble. "Everlasting Gobstoppers!" cried Mr. Wonka proudly. "They're completely new. I'm inventing them for children who were given very little pocket money. You can put an everlasting Gobstopper in your mouth and you can suck it and suck it and suck it and suck it, and it will never get any smaller." "It's like gum!" cried Bella Beargreat. "It is not like gum," Mr. Wonka said. "Gum is for chewing, and if you try chewing of all of these gobstoppers, you'll break your teeth off. And they never get any smaller. They never disappear. Never! At least I don't think they do. There's one of them being tasted this very moment in the testing room next door. An Oompa Loompa is sucking it. He's been sucking it for nearly a year now without stopping, and he's still just as good as ever." "Now over here," Mr. Wonka went on, skipping excitedly across the room to the opposite wall. "Over here, I'm inventing a completely new line in toffees." He stopped beside a large saucepan. The saucepan was full of a thick gooey purplish tickle, boiling and bubbling. By standing on his toes, little Charlie could just see inside it. This hair toffee, cried Mr. Wonka. You eat just one tiny bit of that, and in exactly half an hour, a brand new luxurious, thick, silky, beautiful crop of hair will start growing out all over the top of your head, and a mustache, and a beard. A beard, cried Veruca Salt. Who wants a beard, for heaven's sake? It wouldn't suit you very well, said Mr. Wonka, but unfortunately, the mixture is not quite right yet. I've got it too strong. It works too well. I tried it on Oompa Loompas yesterday in the testing room, and immediately his huge black beard started shooting out of his chin, and the beard grew so fast that soon it was trailing all over the floor in a thick, hairy carpet. It was growing faster than you caught it. In the end, we had to use a lawnmower to keep it in check, but I will get the mixture right soon, and when I do, then there will be no excuse anymore for little boys and girls going out with bold hats. But Mr. Wonka, cried Mike Davy, little boys and girls never do go about it. Don't argue, my dear child, please don't argue, cried Mr. Wonka. It's such a waste of precious time. Now over here, if you will still stop, you'll all stop this way. I will show you something that I am terrifically proud of. Oh, do be careful, don't knock anything over, stand back. Chapter 20. The Great Gum Machine. Mr. Wonka led the party over to a gigantic machine that stood in the very center of the inventing room. It was a mountain of gleaming metal that towered high above the children and their parents. Out of the very top of it there sprouted hundreds and hundreds of thin glass tubes, and the glass tubes curled downwards and came together in a bunch and hung suspended over an enormous round top as big as a bath. Here we go, cried Mr. Wonka, and he pressed 3 different buttons on the side of the machine. A second later, a mighty rumbling sound came from inside, and the whole machine began to shake most threateningly, and steam began hissing out of it all over. And then suddenly, the watchers noticed that running stuff was pouring down the insides of all the hundreds of little glass tubes and squirting out into the great tube below. And in every single tube, the raining stuff was out of the different colors, so that all the colors of the rainbow, and many others as well, came slushing and splashing into the top. It was a lovely sight, and when the tub was nearly full, Mr. Wonka pressed another button, and immediately the rainy stuff disappeared, and a whizzing, whirling noise took its place. And then the giant whizzers started whizzing round into the enormous tub, mixing up all the different colored liquids like an ice cream soda. Gradually, the mixture began to froth. It became frothier, and it suddenly turned from the blue to white to green to brown to yellow, and then back to the blue again. Watch! Cried Mr. Wonka. Click went the machine, and the wizard stopped whizzing, and now there came a sort of sucking noise, and very quickly all the blue frothy mixture in this huge basin was sucked back into the stomach of the machine. There was a moment of silence, then a fierce queer rumblings were heard, then the silence again, then suddenly the machine let out a monstrous mighty groan, and at the same moment a tiny drawer, no bigger than a drawer in a slot machine, popped out of the side of the machine, and in the drawer there lay something so small and thin and grey that everyone thought it must be a mistake. The thing looked like a little strip of a grey cardboard. The children and their parents stared at the little grey strip lying in the drawer. You mean that's all? Said Miss Mike TV, disgusted. That's all, answered Mr. Wonka, gazing proudly at the result. Don't you know what it is? There was a pause. Then suddenly, Violet Belgrade, the silly gum chewing girl, let out a yell of excitement. By gum, it's gum! She shrieked. It's a stick of a chewing gum! Right you are, cried Mr. Wonka, slapping Violet hard on the back. It's a stick of gum! It's a stick of the most amazing and fabulous and sensational gum in the world!